Hi guys, Bushcraft here. Welcome to another episode of Assessed Bushcraft and Survival. What we're going to be doing today is looking at a couple of general purpose knots that would be well to know when coming to a survival situation, but by the same token just as useful in everyday life or any time you might be out in the bush enjoying nature. The very first knot that we're looking at today is called a reef knot. One particular application for this knot is when joining two lengths of rope that are of the same size together. Obviously then giving yourself an extended single piece of rope. Also, of course, though, just a really good general purpose knot that through use you'll identify other areas where it's going to be a positive asset to have. But getting into the knot itself, it's a case of taking the two lengths of rope, or in this case the two sides of a single rope, taking the left hand side, placing it over the right, looping that under like that, then taking what's now the right hand side back over the left hand side, and again twisting that under, giving you this configuration here. Now pulling that tight, you'll see that the more tension is on that rope, the tighter that is. Now when it comes to at the inevitable point when you want to disengage the knot, it's a simple case of taking all the pieces together that are around the knot, pushing them together and giving it a bit of a twist, and then away that comes. Alright guys, so another fantastic knot for you to know is called the Clove hitch knot. Really good when securing a rope around a tree trunk, or any other type of bar or cylindrical item. Just about goes like this. In this case we've got ourselves a length of dowel that we'll be tying to. Take a good length of rope there. It's important when doing all of the different loops here. You're going to take it over the dowel, it's going to come under, creating a loop at the diagonal. It's going to go back over that original length of rope there. I'm going to flick that under with the left hand. So now you can see I've got two loops of rope there. I'm going to pass this one back under the original rope and through what is now an X made by the two loops. Just like that. And then what I'm going to slowly do is bring all of that together as I tighten. So you get this knot here. And you can tell when you've got a successful clove hitch knot that when the securing item is kept in place and you put tension on that, it should lock itself in. So as much as I wrap and pull there, that's not going anywhere. Then of course again, to disengage the knot, you just take lengths of rope that are around that same area there and start to push them together like that. And in this case, I can just slide that right off. That's the clove hitch knot. Alright guys, another really good knot to have in your arsenal is called a sheet knot or a weaver's knot. We did show you a moment ago where you could utilise a knot to attach two ropes together that were of similar size, but sometimes you're going to run into a situation where you need to combine two lengths of rope together that are of differing size. So that is where this really comes into its own. It's a relatively simple knot. If you follow along with us, you take your larger length of case, it's the hay bale. You're going to make yourself a loop, just like that, capturing it again in the same spot or same position that the original length is, doubling it back on itself. You're going to take the small length of knot, in this case it's a small bit of twine, and you're going to use rabbit holes and trunks, which I think is a fantastic analogy. Just up through the rabbit hole like that, and you're going to go around the trunk, well, just like that. I'll stop so you can kind of have a look at how it's looking there. And then you're going to go back in under the original piece of twine and just over like that, giving yourself this crossing. Now when you pull that tight, what's going to happen is they're going to lock together. The bits of twine inside that loop, I'm not sure if you can see that there, are just going to rub against each other, keeping each other secure. So again, the more tension that's on this rope now, the tighter that knot's going to be. And then as soon as you'd like to release the 2 bits of knot, it is as simple as taking all the lengths of knot that are there and just pushing them back together until that releases like that. Alright guys, so this knot here is called the Prusik Knot. It does require a loop of rope. So we've got a loop of twine here. This could be held together, usually it's held together with a double fisherman's knot. We've opted just to use a simple knot here, just to create it for the video. The Prusik knot is really good and used a lot in survival situations now by search and rescue, as the kind of knot that you can use to airlift someone out or help someone climb out of, say they're falling down like a mine shaft or something. They can send a rope down with a couple of Prusik loops and help that person get out, either actively by climbing, utilizing it, or passively using the lock function of this knot. It basically works by having your main static rope here and utilizing the Prusik knot to slide up and down. It is a unidirectional sliding knot which will lock onto the static rope in certain situations. So if there is a jarring force, say you've lost footing and started to fall when ascending, it will then lock down, or more from that, if you were Prusiking, which is the act of utilizing a few of these Prusik loops as footholds up the rope, it will at every point when tension is being applied by your footholds lock that to the static rope. But again, I'll sort of give you a demonstration after I put this on. So you take the original loop of rope that you have here, pass that underneath the static rope that you have, pass that over the top and underneath the original piece of rope, like that. Then what you're going to do is send that under like that.
A thing to note, guys, you want to work very narrow with your loops in order to prevent them crossing each other.
Yeah, exactly right. So once again, you've got this situation here. You're going to keep sending that underneath and through the original loop, like that. It's going to take a moment here to assess it. Trying to keep this nice and neat and visual for you guys so you can see it at the same time. So you can see here I've got the 2 loops of rope there, the original loop of rope. As I go to tighten this up, all the different bits of rope are going to come close together like that. And this is a 2-looped Prusik knot. You could go and do 3 or 4 or a couple. The benefit of that is that the tightening down function is going to lock even harder, but it does slide. It does make sliding it a little bit more difficult. Usually it's customary to do 3, but just given the bits of rope here for demonstration purposes, I've gone and done 2. Demonstrating the sliding function of this, taking the knot there and pulling it to either side of the static, you can see that it freely slides up and down this length of rope. But then at any point in time, if I go and put a bit of tension pulling away on that, you can see I'm applying quite a bit of tension there, and that is locked in. Demonstrating that sliding then after that, you'll see that it slides just as well. And then again, applying tension in the other direction, not going anywhere, but if I wanted to, the ability is there to slide. So if you were utilizing this to ascend some type of say cliff face, you would perhaps be controlling this with your strong arm there, moving your whole mass or weight up the rope at a point, and then locking that down at the next bit to then progress that further if you're using a climb or the like. But yeah guys, that is the Prusik knot. Oh, and obviously to release the knot, having a look at the knot that you have here, it's just a simple case of taking this this loop here and loosening it back over the original, and then feeding that bit back out a couple of times, essentially reversing the bit of the knot that you just put in.
One quick thing to note, guys, there's been many a situation where I've been out bush and I've decided I want to ascend, be it a tree, a cliff, whatever. If I've got my main static line in place, I find using 2 foot stirrups that are Prusiked in place wonderful. as I can use a gloved hand around the main static line and then use my free hand to raise my stirrups bit by bit, allowing me to ascend a static line very quickly.